the love relationship, the real thing. Many people looking for love go to dating websites and other similar things and fill out the characteristics that they want, their own characteristics and specifications on income, education, looks, religion, all kinds of objective characteristics. But why is it that people don't put love first? I mean, if there's no love, then what's the point of all those characteristics? Well, some people they don't want to get into feelings for somebody and then find out later they don't like dogs. That's clearly this relationship is not based on love. And so, what is love then? I mean, your characteristics that you're looking for objectively: height, weight, education, intelligence, all that kind of stuff. But do you know love, real love, when it's there? And a lot of people think, oh, it's love or it's not love. It's 100% or it's not there. Or some people look for their true love, that there's somebody there who, and the only one in the world for them, or a soulmate. But it doesn't matter who they are or what you call them. It's based on love. And a lot of people are getting married and they think they have found love. They have found their soulmate. They have found their true love. They have the real thing. Etc. And in the United States anyway, 50% of people are getting divorced, and it doesn't matter if they're Christians or not. I mean, the percentages are the same, and all these people thought they had the real thing. Obviously, say forever and ever, for better or for worse, and things get a little bad, and well, that's all. I guess I didn't mean. Guess I didn't know. I said things that I just didn't realize. Well, see, maybe there's something to look at here. Okay. So before you get into characteristics and specifications, it's important that something be there first. Um, for instance, take sexual attraction. Now, here's something that is important to most everyone. And how do you know if there's sexual attraction if you're not even going to kiss first? I mean, maybe you want to know that or go further. Maybe that's would be a good idea. Well, that's pretty simple. I mean, isn't it? I mean, you meet someone and you're talking and you just try it out. It's nothing immoral about it. You're not risking a lot. Just touch the person on the arm. Just you're talking to them, you make a point, and just touch them briefly on the arm. See what their reaction is. See what your reaction is. Is it good? Is there chemistry there? There's something maybe. Well, look into their eyes. This time, touch them on the shoulder after half an hour or something. Or just checking it out. You know, I mean, this is important, and it's so easy to check out right away. You're walking next to the person. Just pat them on the shoulder and say, nice talking with you, and stuff, and you can feel whether there's sexual attraction there or not. I mean, it's simple, and well, I mention this because love is the same way. It's just very simple, but people just aren't thinking about it. It's so easy to check out if there's something between you when you meet and you have your first conversation, with phone or anything. It's the same way. But you don't risk. You're not looking for full blown love. You know, what you're looking for is you come closer to the person, not talking physically, but emotionally and with your heart with some risk, some vulnerability, and you come close to the other person and they come close to you if they're aware. If they're not aware, well, maybe you think about somebody else. But, and so you can feel the reaction. You can feel how you feel with this emotional intimacy, just a little bit, just like a touch on the arm. Just try it out. See how it is. You're not risking a lot, but you're finding out a whole lot about how you feel about the person, or how you might feel if you knew them emotionally with more intimacy. And this is real. It's just like when you touch a person on the arm and you feel chemistry. That is real. That is the real sexual energy that's there. And if you pursue it, well, how do you pursue it? Because if it feels better, you touch them on the arm, you kiss them on the cheek, things develop, and you know how to follow your nose in that situation. Well, the same is true with love. What you're feeling is the real thing. If you're emotionally coming together with that person and you're vulnerable and you see how they feel with this emotional touching, you don't have to get real involved. But you do it sufficiently so you can tell your reaction. You can tell their reaction. And if there's something there, that's the beginning of something real. However, it does not mean it's going to be leading to marriage or going steady. It just says that at that time, for this amount, this is the real deal. And if you pursue it, continuing more emotional intimacy, closer, going along, you see if it grows. And it's important to nurture it. Love is not enough. You have to know how to create emotional intimacy so you can create trust. You see the other person is willing to be vulnerable, find out about you, find out about what you want, find out if they like what you're supporting, see if they can, all this stuff going along. And you do this with each other. And as time goes by, your intimacy grows. And your love, if it's possible, will grow. And you can see this grow, and it's real. It's not an accident. You can't create love. You can't manufacture it. But if it's there and it have a chance of growing, like a little bud, a sprout, or into a sapling, whatever, then you nurture it. And you've got to nurture it. Because love itself is not enough. If you don't take care of it, continue to create the intimacy and trust and show your support of the other person, etc., love won't have a chance, the same is true with children. If you have emotional intimacy and you show that you support them, find out what their dreams and aspirations are, and you support them, they will trust you, and there will be a basis for expression of love in a loving relationship between parents and children. But if the parents are subjugating the children to their personal goals and everything, the child is going to react. I mean, whatever, teenagers especially, they're coming into their own. They don't want to, they have their own dreams and everything. And if those aren't supported, there's going to be a problem. It's not that the children and parents don't love each other anymore. It's just there's betrayal, a lack of trust, and lack of support. And so there won't be an open expression of love and warmth in that kind of relationship. And that's so difficult because so many parents these days grew up with being poorly supported themselves. And they have nothing to go on, really. So People want to find their true love, or their soulmate, and they want to find true love. But and this is you can experience it at the beginning. Uh, this is real love. This is the beginnings, though, and that person. If this develops to the place where you're willing to say "I do," and this is not a partner, which is good for business relationship, but um, if you love a person, it should be a sweetheart or lover or, you know, whatever. But when you get to the place you're willing to say, I do, and this is forever, for better or for worse, um, this is this is a love that has matured, and you can't make it do that. You know, you can see all along the way how the love is growing. I mean, it's there if between the two of you, if you have your open sharing of feelings and intimacy, it's clear if it's developing or if it isn't, and if it reaches a place where it it clearly is not a love tree, full maturation, then it's then it's say goodbye. It's nobody's fault if it doesn't grow to to be a great oak tree or something. But so people look for all these qualifications and character traits and stuff like that, and love is the essence of the relationship. And as this love develops from the seedling, from the sprout, along the way, certain characteristics and qualifications, etc., become important to be known and to deal with them on a basis of what the love dictates, not the other way around. A lot of people want all these qualifications, and then they want to find love. And it's like putting the cart before the horse, and you're building a house of cards, and it falls down, and you blame the other person or something like that. And maybe you should have put love first to begin with, because you look through the eyes of love, you'll be realistic about whether it's really love and whether it's really growing, whether it's really worthwhile to nurture it at all. So just because you love doesn't mean you turn a blind eye. As a matter of fact, you want to be more cognizant of what's going on. So I really, really surprised, been looking at dating sites and a lot of other things on YouTube search about relationships and all this kind of stuff. And it's so interesting that so many of things about dating and how to find the right woman, the right man, all this stuff, how infrequently they mention love. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. They don't mention love at all. And if they do, uh, they don't mention anything about how determining if there's love there. If you go to a film on sex and stuff, I mean, it's very clear about your chemistry, reacting, your feelings, and all that stuff. But when they're talking about relationships, I mean, the whole basis of relationships is love. And yet, who's talking about how to further it, how to nurture it, how to identify it? People are looking at love as though say, well, I'll run across it someday and then I'll know, and there'll be this full blown love, rather than recognizing a sprout when it's there and seeing, hey, this is something real between us. Oh, it's not very much, but it's kind of interesting and I like it. Let's put some water on it, see if it grows, see what happens. It's good this far, you see? And so you nurture the relationship. But there aren't that many uh, videos on YouTube or in books that actually describe exactly how do you identify real love. Well, it's not a full-blown elephant all at once. there's a germ and it grows. So how do you identify the germ? Well, I've just said that previously. It's just like reaching out, touching emotionally, and seeing how you feel, seeing how they feel, and see if you want to explore it further, and etc., etc. And it's all very simple in theory. Maybe easier said than done. I mean, there's a lot of emotions and stuff going on when you're meeting somebody the first time, and you know, and everything that you're feeling, and all that stuff. Well, it's the way life is. You got to figure it out for yourself in the end. You can read books and all that stuff, but in the end, you just got to experiment and figure it out. And realize that the person on the across the table to you is trying to do the same thing, hopefully. And if they're not, well, it's good to find out early. As the saying goes, you don't want to bet the farm until the farm is built. But if it's built, then you can take it to the bank. In addition to that, you've got somewhere to live, some farm to live in.
Well, regarding that phrase, love thy neighbor as thyself, there's a couple of ways to interpret that. In other words, a kind of a love thy neighbor as thyself, rather than it being a comment, it would be might be a encouragement. If you want to live a pleasant life, etc., love thy neighbor as thyself. But there's also another way of looking at it, because this is actually a very cryptic remark to try to reduce something like nuclear power or a nuclear bomb down to the formula E equals mc squared. A lot of people go, oh yeah, I see, I know what all that stuff means, all those letters. Well, it's interesting to note that love thy neighbor as thyself is that as you love your neighbor, so you are loving yourself, in fact. And this isn't a suggestion, this is a matter of fact, that your actions and how you feel about your neighbor happens to be a direct representation of how you feel about yourself. And this comment is not a suggestion either. This is a fact. And so now you see how this simple thing, love thy neighbor as thyself, and people go, oh yeah, I do that. I know that's right. And then they go out, and the way they treat people, how they ignore the poor, how they ignore doing this or conducting their business, or how they go to war against their neighbor for some religious reason, or the situations are endless. And this is where people intellectualize and emotionalize and enshrine sayings and this, that, and other thing, and just ignore and are just walking right by something that means something very different.
To look at the statistics that 50% of the people who thought they found true love and spend their life forever, for better or for worse, that 50% of them ditched that. vow that they spent so much time on. And the remaining couples, there must be a sizable portion who it's a negative marriage, but they're sticking it out for one reason or another. That it is, they don't like it, and they don't know what to do, and it's a negative situation. And the next group is where the relationship is just nothing really. The marriage is essentially deadish and of no consequence, really. And then finally there's a small group where finally it's a positive thing in their life. And this is on a continuum, of course, to those who are very happy, where love is quite alive and significant in their lives, and trust and emotional intimacy and the mutual support, love and admiration is quite alive and flourishing for them because of what they do, how they take care of the relationship. They have love there, which of course is the primary thing that so many dating websites just don't seem to pay attention to or know what to do about, or how to direct people to what love is. It isn't complicated, but people are looking for all kinds of qualifications and etc., and putting the cart before the horse, which of course doesn't work in the end. If you're going to learn what love is, I mean, love is the same thing. It starts out with the basic step, the basic initial perception, or I guess that's the way, identification of what it is from the very, very beginning. And if you're putting qualifications and those kinds of things first, it's just, you're going to be misidentifying, looking for something that is not love. And I'm not saying that those other things aren't important, but they've got their place. It's putting the cart before the horse. It's important to having your focus, so you're looking for something that you're supposed to be looking for in a way that you're supposed to look for it. And that's true of looking for anything. So anyway, I have mentioned previously at the beginning, step 1+1, or learning how to listen, and it is learning how to identify love, and that how you must create an environment of trust, of mutual support, mutual understanding, each person responsible for their side of it, and that you have emotional intimacy. And these are all things that after you have love, which is not an intellectual thing, of course, but if you don't have that seed of love, that first step, you're not going anywhere, regardless of what your emotions feel like or anything else. And it's not that there aren't appropriate concomitant emotions. Anyway, this is a very
gathering information and starting back with the simple, because it's simple. It is complex, but it's not complicated. It's a very simple. It's a very simple step, and it's true for everything. I mean, it's just not true for love. It's true for, I mean, you name it. It's same is true. Same is true. If you know how to listen, then you've got the preliminary and essential first step to approaching anything, whatever moment of the day it is. It's a perfectly essential and important thing to be doing. And of course, you'll be doing it forever. That's how humans were meant to operate, to exist, in their optimum, part of their optimization of living in life.